So we talk about moving forward, and some people didn't like it. I particularly did. Pete Buttigieg recently was on the Andrew Schultz podcast, and there was some people saying, I don't know why he would go on a podcast where you're platforming people who've said misogynistic things and racist things. And you know me, Lana, as long as you've known me, I've always said, you got to cut the head off the snake. And the way to do that is to be in front of them. Now, I've seen Gavin Newsom sit down with Charlie Kirk and with Steve Bannon, and I didn't particularly like that. I like Gavin Newsom, but I don't like the chummy side of it, like we're going to be pals. Right. And Pete Buttigieg just has a likable thing about him. So you may think, hey, we're pals here. But the way he went in, and it is the only time that I ever watched, this was almost 3 hours. And I watched it in increments. I didn't watch it the whole 3 hours at one time, but I watched the entire interview because this is exactly what I've said that they need to do. They need to sit down in front of these people and cut off the disinformation and misinformation. And it's not just to cut off them. So their listeners start to understand that what they're saying is not true. And they're voting based on what Andrew Schultz and Joe Rogan are saying. And Pete Buttigieg did a master class, Lana, with them. I'm going to play this clip, and this goes to the heart of everything I've been saying. Pete Buttigieg had to explain to them that dead people were not receiving Social Security money by the millions. And the most shocking and frustrating thing about this clip, Lana, is they were shocked. They were like, wow, really? And that's what concerns me so much. So let's watch this clip on it, and then we'll talk about it.
Right now, again, the Doge stuff, they make it sound like there's like millions of dead people getting Social Security.
Exactly.
We're just not. That's just not true.
So how many are there dead people? That's because this seemed to me fact.
Well, first of all, like
Biden can get it.
Look, I mean, one thing to think about is like, obviously the vast majority of people who die of old age are getting Social Security the day they die, right? So like for at least a minute or a week or a month or however long it takes, right? There's that process of updating. But part of it had to do with how the database was built. And you just didn't necessarily like remove everybody from the database. It didn't mean they were getting money, but it meant they were in the database. And so you could twist that into looking like this is what the president did in his speech. Like, it's true there's this database that had all these people from like, 100 years ago. It was not true that they were getting checks. Okay.
Wow.
But he said the one part. That's good. And your brain fills in the blanks. And now you think, oh shit, there's like millions of people who are 150 years old getting checks, which is not true.
Number one, Lana, it's disgusting.
Yeah. Like, what the fuck? How are they getting checks anyway? Like, what? The bank accounts? Where? Like, as we've learned, once you're dead, everything's gone. Right. You have no bank account. You have no credit score. Everything is done once you're considered dead. So if a check was generated, where the fuck did it generate to? Like, where did it go?
But Lana, did you hear the guy in the beginning who's like, I thought that was true. Like, it sounded true to me. And you're like,
it's facts.
Dudes, like, come on, man. At minimum, 8th grade education should be able to tell you that something sounds off here and I need to investigate this a little bit more. But this is what happens. We have a gigantic segment of this country that takes everything they say as gospel and that it's true. And then they go out and vote in the dumbest, biggest liar in the history of this country that's eventually going to wind up hurting them. And I just can't, for the life of me, understand. I don't get it. Lana, this is frustrating. Very frustrating.
And they just cheer for it.
They do.
Yeah,
well,
tariffs.
Tariffs. And, oh my God. Everybody thinks they're a tariff expert now. Nobody was talking tariffs 5 months ago. Now everybody's talking about why tariffs fucking work. Holy shit, I can't stand people. All right, this last clip, Anna. This is similar to what I was talking about. This is somebody that I have mentally divorced a long time ago, and this was Bill Maher. Bill Maher is somebody that I used to watch constantly. I went to go see him in concert. I saw him 5 times live. I was a huge Bill Maher fan when he was normal, but he decided to jump on that woke train. And if you do it once, you do it twice. I'm like, all right. But literally every fucking show, I was like, okay, I see exactly where this is going. I am out. This is the same asshole who railed on Donald Trump. Oh shit, I wish I had the clip. There was a clip going around online from 2018 when Geraldo Rivera was on Bill Maher's show, and he was talking about this is Geraldo talking. We were on The Apprentice together. He's a good friend of mine. And Bill was just railing on him, saying he wants to be a fascist. He wants to do this, and you want to be friends with him. And now all of a sudden he's sitting with him at the White House. Right. So that's why I have no respect for Bill Maher. But again, this plays into what I was just showing you with Charlie Kirk. With Pete Buttigieg, he's sitting down with Charlie Kirk, another huge voice for the right. I mean, a monster voice. He's the one that has that whole Turning Point convention that all these right-wing idiots go out to. And Bill Maher had to correct him about something that Donald Trump said in the State of the Union address. This clip's a little wonky. I think the voice doesn't match the clip, but you'll get the gist of it.
Though, is this woke stuff that would take your breath away? I mean, research into transgender mice. I mean, it was just the U.S. taxpayer dollars funding that.
See, I called that out on my show. That was bullshit. It wasn't transgender. See, that worries me about you, Charlie. You seem to have swallowed that one whole, like a snake does a mouse, without looking into it. It was transgenic mice.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It was not, but it's hugely different. Transgender, that's just going along with what the mob thinks. It wasn't. He got it wrong, and no one was around to tell him that he got it wrong. He just went with it. Transgender. It wasn't transgender. It was transgenic. They were studying mice for health reasons, serious cancer-solving reasons. Nothing to do with transgender. So
I stand corrected on that.
Okay.
This is why that's why Donald Trump won this election. I'll say it till the fucking day I'm dying. Yep, because all these people say this shit, and if you think that's a one-off for Charlie Kirk, if you think that's a one-off for those idiots on the Andrew Schultz panel, it's not. It is constant, and this is where people listen to politics, and then they go, well, I guess it's cool to vote, and then they go and vote based on what Andrew Schultz, Joe Rogan, Charlie Kirk said.
Thinking like, oh, we are paying for transgender mics, and it's just like, what the fuck? Like how we just talked about. It's like, if it sounds crazy, look it up to confirm it. Like, I didn't know when Trump said that shit about condoms going to Gaza to make bombs.
Yep.
Alarm bells was like, what the fuck? That sounds crazy.
Yep.
But then the second thing was like, let me look this up before I talk about it.
100%.
So I don't sound like a clown. And to make sure that that actually is not happening, because who knows? It sounds crazy, but who knows? Come to find out, no, that's not what it was. Like, what the fuck?
Well, it's funny you say that story. Is it initially came out from Elon Musk that they were sending condoms to Gaza. It was like $50 million in condoms, which, by the way, cost the U.S. government 50 cents per condom. So that means 100 million condoms were going to Gaza, which obviously was not true. There may have been a budget for a certain amount of condoms to go out at times, but it wasn't the Gaza they were talking about. It was a province in Africa that was infested with the AIDS disease. And that's where it went. And then you have on Fox News, Jesse Waters claiming that they were using those condoms to send down the river to make bombs. This is incredible that this is where people are getting their news.
Yeah, everyone ran with it. And that's now the new talking point.
Unbelievable. And then some reporter finally called out Elon Musk. And he was like, well, we're going to get some things wrong and we'll correct them when we need to. He didn't correct that story until he was called out by the reporter. They have no intentions on correcting stories if they're not called out on them. They use these innuendos and flat out lies and disinformation and misinformation against the dumbest fucking people who vote. And I don't care. I'm done. I'm done with these fucking people. If you don't want to, you keep talking about personal responsibility. Take personal responsibility in your life and stop being a fucking moron. I'm so tired of people shaping the American policy now because they're not smart enough to understand that these people are clowning them. That just irritates the shit out of me, Lana. Can't handle it. I just can't take it. Can't take it.
No, but I get it. Like, you're right. That's a good point. It's like they are, like, in essence, making the policy, right? Because they're electing these people that are making policy or fucking executive orders, but based on like fucking lies, shit that they don't even know. Like, they think like windmills cause cancer and vaccines cause autism and Gaza is making bombs with condoms and we're spending money on transgender mice and children are using the bathroom in litter boxes. Like, these are the people that are voting in our elected officials who are as dumb as they are.
Yeah. You know, if you notice, a lot of them are using this language now. They've changed it. You don't hear mainstream media anymore. You hear legacy media. And, you know, I think part of that is because I think they know Fox News is basically mainstream media now. So they're using legacy media. And basically what they're trying to do is discredit all the actual journalists that are telling you the truth. And you should be listening to these independent journalists like on Twitter or Charlie Kirk or, you know, Steve Bannon. These are the people who are telling you the actual truth. And unfortunately, that shift has been made. And I don't know how you turn it back to real journalists who are telling you the truth. The only way I think that we can do it, and Alana has said this before in the past, is they have to feel the actual pain to maybe start opening up their eyes and saying, I don't know, maybe those evil people on the left who kept trying to tell us that something bad was going to happen, maybe they were right. And we might have to start looking into that. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, we talked about this. Like, we knew that there were going to be sacrificial lambs. Right? Yeah. Sacrificial lambs. Kilmar Agrego, sacrificial lamb.
Yep.
The children that have been deported that are Americans, sacrificial lambs. Like,
the judge arrested.
The judge arrested. Like, there were going to be sacrificial lambs. Some are going to be jailed. Some are going to die. Like, it's just, it is what it is. Like, but it's going to happen, and it's going to happen in front of the public.
Yep.
That child that they deported with cancer, that's just like, this is who America is. It's fucking embarrassing.
I mean, that's got to be the definition of evil, right?
Yeah, like Trump and we're what? Y'all claim to be Christians? Like, how is that okay? They're American citizens, and then we listen to them try to twist themselves in fucking knots to say, like, the mother wanted the child. No, she did not. She wanted her kid to stay here and have cancer treatments. Like, that's what the fuck she wanted. Like, it's just really disgusting. It's really bad where we are. And then you have people like, well, if they're here illegally, that's the crime. Like, excuse me? That's not even who he says. He's taking people with visas, right? Like, and now, I don't know if you've heard, now they're sending out fake letters to people saying, good news on your case. Meet us at the immigration office.
Jesus.
Then they go down there and then they scoop them up and deport them. That's what they're doing now because they're trying to hit those numbers. And now as we heard today, and you probably heard, they want to charge these people $1,000.
I didn't see that.
Yes. So I don't know which it is. $1,000 to get like some type of visa, $500 or $1,500 more dollars for something else, but they want to charge them. So it's a cost for asylum, a cost for visas. Like they want them to pay thousands of dollars because supposedly this is money that they're going to use in their continued deportation process.
Yeah.
It's another graft. It's like the tariffs. Like who's seeing that money if the companies are paying tariffs where and our prices are being raised? Where does that money where does it go? To the government? What does he do with it?
No.
What's he doing with the money? We don't even know how the fucking money is being spent in the government.
There's also, did you see where Donald Trump is charging some of these top business people to have meetings with him? I think it's like $1 million for a group meeting, $5 million for a personal meeting. And that, I mean, man, we play this game all the time and it kind of is almost old. Could you imagine if Biden or Obama did that?
A sitting president is charging people for his time.
Right. Beyond the fact that he's charging for watches and sneakers and Bibles and green cards.
Tell me if Amazon requests a meeting and pays Donald Trump $1 million, where does that money go? Donald Trump?
That's exactly where it goes.
Because that means he's using the presidency to gain, because it's not a private meeting, because they wouldn't pay regular citizen Donald Trump $1 million to fucking go to Mar-a-Lago to sit with them, right? So you're using the presidency, but then you're pocketing the money, and nobody can do anything about it.
That's the reason why they do it, because they know we've already determined what are you going to do about it. We've got the Supreme Court behind us. We've got the House. We've got the Senate. We've got the presidency. We are ignoring the Supreme fucking Court. We've already proven we can do whatever we want to, and you can't do anything about it. And sadly, you have people who voted for them cheering this, even though these were the same people saying that this is the kind of stuff that Biden and Kamala Harris was going to do to the country. And it's just so rich. And it's just like, these people could go fuck themselves. I keep hearing this, we need to find common ground bullshit. And I don't know how you find common ground with people who are so hateful and evil. I just don't see it. We can find common ground with the Republicans who are not down with this administration. That's who I can find common ground with. But finding common ground with these evil assholes, and brings me back to the point earlier where people were mad about Pete Buttigieg going on Andrew Schultz. Here's the thing. I think these people are just ignorant. They're not political at all. They just kind of know that it's something to talk about, and they talk about it based on the very limited knowledge that they have on it. And they go, well, what's cool? Trump is cool, so we're going to go on the Trump side and talk about it that way. These are ignorant morons. But if you have somebody like Pete Buttigieg, and you could bring in, I mean, there's a ton of people I've heard, and you tell me what you think, Lana. I heard somebody tell me that it's okay for Pete Buttigieg to go on it because he's a white male. But if Kamala Harris went on, Jasmine Crockett, that they don't think that they would get the same treatment from the Andrew Schultzes and the Joe Rogans of the world. My only pushback on that is I think Kamala Harris and Jasmine Crockett are charming enough to be able to charm those guys and to be able to speak intelligently enough for them to say, I get it. What do you think?
I mean, yeah, I agree with that. But I also think, like, who cares? Like, you just go on anyway. You're not going on to be, like you said, with Gavin Newsom, buddies with him. I mean, Pete, white male, was able to chill and be more relaxed and say,
let's not forget he's gay too.
Right, but he doesn't come off gay. It's a big difference.
But you know what? Of course, like those guys, they're like fifth graders. They had to bring it up like 5 different times,
Yeah.
so the audience knows.
Right.
And I'll let you get back to your point, but I don't know if you saw too on that show, after it was over, they showed online a lot of the comments in the comment section after that show. And they're like, man, I voted for Donald Trump, but Pete is awesome. I mean, they were just, every comment was nothing but positive about Pete coming from Trump supporters. They even mentioned, I don't give a shit if he's gay. If he's that good and he can talk like that, I would vote for him.
Right. He's not. It's the in your face, I think, with like Trump supporters. You know what I mean? Like they just, if they don't know it, they good. Like Pete's not flamboyant. Guarantee if Pete was flamboyant, they wouldn't have cared how he talked. They wouldn't have been able to listen to him if he came with his nails polished.
If he was like George Santos, you mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
They wouldn't have, it would have been a whole different ball game. But he comes on, he's in the military. He's a different kind of guy. So they can listen to him. He's definitely, I mean, Jasmine and Kamala could. It would have been more difficult for them because they wouldn't have gotten that ear. Like those guys were really like enthralled. Like they were like really listening and taking it all in, but nobody can do what Pete does. But I think they should go on shows like that. Like,
do you think that they would try to over satisfy their audience by digging a little bit more than they would if Donald Trump were sitting there? I think that's kind of the fear. But, I truly do believe, because when I just hear them talk, I always heard this thing, about Kamala Harris. She's very, very charming, and she could be very charming on these shows. If she went in there and kind of did that, and I don't mean it in a, not flirty way, but in that, just like,
absolutely.
You know what I mean? That kind of like, come on, guys, like,
go have a beer. Like, seriously, go have a beer, sit down and chat and just be regular, be who you are, and stop trying to be the politician. And that becomes a problem. And that's why they have a problem with Jasmine. Jasmine just is who she is. Like
with no fucks given.
Right, exactly. She's not coming off as that scripted politician. You're not going to get that from coming out of her mouth because that's just not who she is. She's a politician, but she ain't scripted.
Right.
Like she is who she is. And I think they all should go on those shows. Whether it's do or die. You have to.
Especially after you saw those comments about Pete Buttigieg underneath them. When you see those comments, that's the audience you're getting to. You're cutting the head off the snake. And now not only, maybe you're not even cutting the head off the snake. You are now charming the snake. You are now the snake charmer. And you are the one that's controlling the narrative that they have shaped about you for years.
Exactly. And you got them now looking shit up, right? Because now they're going, oh, and he gave them the information and then continued on like, this is how he did it. He left that piece out so that you think this, like, you know what I mean? Like he gave you what was going on, but he left something really, really important out of that. That's why you thought that part. Like,
and the moronic reaction, like, oh, real? Wow, that was amazing. I never thought of it that way. And you're like,
and that's why
they
have to go on those shows because that's the only way to chip at his base, because you may be able to convince some of those hardcore MAGA base, because you just have to just chip in and let a little sunlight in, and maybe they'll be like, oh, that does make, like, they may, because again, Pete's so charming and he's good to look at, like, you may get something from him.
Yeah. And Lana, not to mention, now is the time to do it, because things are going to start going backwards on the American people, and they're going to start feeling the pain. And if they're feeling the pain and also hearing the correct message at the same time, that could be the perfect storm. But there needs to be more. Like I said, they need to come up with their own battle plan for 2026. as I was saying earlier, a project 2026 of their own and move forward, because we cannot continue on this way. We just can't. It's going to be awful. So,
is we're not, because I know there's another guy, I can't remember the congressman's name. He goes on Fox as well. He may have been the one with Elmo when they were trying to get rid of PBS. One of those guys, I just can't remember his name. But he goes on Fox too. But we just don't know when they do these things. Like, I wouldn't have never known that Pete was on this show, because how would anyone know that? No one's watching the show except for MAGA, right?
Yep.
So, like, I mean, it's good that MAGA saw him there, but other people, we don't know. So we always say, like, what are they doing? And we just don't know all of what they're doing, because it's not being television. Trump takes all of the all of it.
Yeah.
And nothing, it's hard for anything to get through. That's why it was good that Booker and team were on the stairs. So,
well, they were broadcasting it live on all the social medias, so people knew. I also think too that even though I didn't know about Pete Buttigieg going on the show until there's enough outlets, though, like you could go on Twitter and there's going to be enough people showing you that look at what Pete Buttigieg did. So,
which is a good thing. And then if everyone just took those things and then like put it on other social medias, like drop a clip on Facebook, drop clips on TikTok, like that's how we get it out there. So
well, I hope Pete's appearance on that show lit a fire under a lot of people and saying, hey, can I come on your show? Reach out to them if they're not reaching out to you, and say, it looked like a great time. Do you mind if I come on your show? And, and you got to manipulate a little bit. You got to do your best to get in there and get the message out, because can't keep going down the same strategy we went down. Kamala Harris barely lost that race. And it would have taken just stripping away some of those people. I don't know if Kamala Harris, if she had gone on Joe Rogan this late in the game, if it would have worked, because I also think that it's possible that Joe Rogan may have been maybe a little bit harsher towards Kamala Harris because he wanted Donald Trump to win. But I think if she had way more time and it was done earlier, that may have made a difference. But who knows? But I don't know, Lana. We'll need to figure it out.